There's a park on the south side of Glasgow where the terraces are still standing, concrete steps, climbing in long grey rows, with 50-year-old trees growing straight through them. If you stand at the top, you can see it. This was a football ground. 50,000 people once roared here. The team that called it home were champions of Scotland. They were founded in 1872, the exact same year as Rangers, and in 1967 they simply vanished. Not relegated, not renamed, not rescued. Erased, over a debt smaller than what a Premier League player now earns in a week. Rangers went bust and came back. This is the story of the club that didn't. This is gone bust. To understand what was lost, you need to know what they were. In 1872, a group of soldiers, the Third Lanarkshire Rifle Volunteers, formed a football team. This wasn't some pub side. This was the dawn of organised football itself, and the Soldiers' Club was there at the founding table of the Scottish game, one of the original members of the Scottish Football Association's world. The fans gave them a nickname nobody has ever fully explained, the Hi-Hi, and the Hi He Could Play. Scottish Cup winners in 1889, Cup winners again in 1905, and in 1904, the Summit, champions of Scotland. Read that again. There are only a handful of names on that list of champions: Celtic, Rangers, Aberdeen, Hearts, Hibs, Dundee and Third Lanark. Their home, Cathkin Park, had history in its bones. It had even served as an early home of Hampden. On its best days, tens of thousands packed those terraces. For 90 years, Glasgow had three great football institutions. Everyone remembers two of them. And here's the part that makes this story hurt. Third Lanark didn't fade away over decades like some relic. 6 years before the end, 6 years, they fielded one of the most entertaining teams in Britain. The season of 1960-61, over 100 goals scored. A forward line Glasgow still speaks about. Harley, Hilly, Gray, tearing defences apart. They finished third in Scotland's top flight, behind only Rangers and Kilmarnock. Third in the league, 100 goals, packed terraces. Remember the pattern from our RBS episode? The peak comes right before the fall. In 1961, Third Lanark looked unstoppable. By 1967, they did not exist, so what destroys a healthy 100-goal football club in 6 years? Not a bank crash, not a war, a boardroom. In the early 60s, control of Third Lanark passed to a businessman named William Hiddleston, and what followed became one of the most notorious regimes in the history of British football. The stories from Cathkin in those years sound invented. They are not. Players' wages paid out in bags of loose coins. Hot water switched off in the dressing rooms. Light bulbs counted, the team bus cancelled. A club that had just scored 100 goals in a season suddenly couldn't afford soap. And the good players. Alex Harley, the 100-goal team's star striker, off to Manchester City. One by one, the men who filled the terraces were traded away, and the money did not visibly return to the team. Crowds that had been counted in tens of thousands shrank to hundreds. Why would a chairman run his own club into the ground? Many in Glasgow believed they knew. Cathkin Park sat on valuable land, and a dead football club can't object to what happens to its home. That was the suspicion, because the ending of this story makes it matter. By 1965, the inevitable arrived, relegation. The Hee-Hee dropped out of the top flight for the first time in their history, and the spiral tightened. Little money for wages. Trialists and juniors filling the team sheet. Meanwhile, on match days, the vast bowl of Cathkin, built for 50,000, echoed with a few hundred voices. Football clubs don't usually die of one wound. They bleed out slowly from 100 small humiliations. And through it all, the board assured everyone things were under control. The end, when it came, was quiet. On the 25th of April 1967, Third Lanark travelled to Dumbarton for a league match. They lost 5-1. Nobody in the thin crowd that night knew they were watching a 95-year-old institution play the final game of its existence. Weeks later, in June 1967, the club that had been champions of Scotland was wound up in court, over debts of around £40,000. Rangers in 2012 went down owing millions, and lived. Third Lanark died for the price of a house. Then came the reckoning that never was. Government inspectors, the Board of Trade, investigated the club's final years, and their report was damning. A picture of chaotic, ruinous mismanagement. But William Hiddleston never answered a single charge. In November 1967, months after his club died, he died too, and every question died with him. No trial, no conviction, no answers. If that sounds familiar, it should. Fred Goodwin walked away from RBS. The Rangers' takeover ended in an acquittal, and the man at the centre of the Third Lanark affair never saw a courtroom. 3 collapses, 3 errors, nobody punished. In Scotland's gone bust stories, that's not the exception. Then came the reckoning that never was. Government inspectors, the Board of Trade, investigated the club's final years, and their report was damning. A picture of chaotic, ruinous mismanagement. But William Hiddleston never answered a single charge. In November 1967, months after his club died, he died too, and every question died with him. No trial, no conviction, no answers. If that sounds familiar, it should. Fred Goodwin walked away from RBS. The Rangers' takeover ended in an acquittal. And the man at the centre of the Third Lanark affair never saw a courtroom. 3 collapses, 3 errors, nobody punished. In Scotland's gone bust stories, that's not the exception, it's the rule. Then came the reckoning that never was. Government inspectors, the Board of Trade, investigated the club's final years, and their report was damning. A picture of chaotic, ruinous mismanagement. But William Hiddleston never answered a single charge. In November 1967, months after his club died, he died too, and every question died with him. No trial, no conviction, no answers. If that sounds familiar, it should. Fred Goodwin walked away from RBS. The Rangers' takeover ended in an acquittal, and the man at the centre of the Third Lanark affair never saw a courtroom. 3 collapses, 3 errors, nobody punished. In Scotland's gone bust stories, that's not the exception, it's the rule. And Cathkin Park? Nobody ever built on it. The land deal, if that's what it ever was, never came. The city took the ground over, and today it's a public park. But they never tore the terraces down, so they're still there. Grey concrete steps where 50,000 once stood, with trees pushing through them. A stadium slowly being swallowed by a forest in the middle of Glasgow. Local volunteers still tend it. Sunday footballers still play on the old pitch, and every so often someone climbs those terraces, stands at the top, and remembers the Rangers came back. Third Lanark is still waiting. Next on Gone Bust, a 300-year-old bank that died in 48 hours. Subscribe, the giants keep falling.